Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 404. Insert 404 joke here, but we are not found. We are right here. We are live. Today is the 10th of August, 2022, and we've got a ton of questions. We're going to try to keep intros relatively short. We do have a couple of announcements and things we wanted to touch base on, but then be jumping into the question. So I'll start on the top of my screen with Mr. Chris. And Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Super excited. Opportunity is definitely knocking on everyone's door at the moment, so that's a good time. And I'm surprised it's in August, but can't complain. Good time of the year.
Right. Yeah. Interesting time. So yeah, busy here too. I think I mentioned it last week. I'm going to be moving. We've got a lot going on. We just had the webinar for Local Fury on Monday, which I'll drop the link down below. If you haven't seen it, you can look on the channel in case you're watching the replay and you're not live today and you're interested. You can find that. Just go into the channel and check it out. That was on Monday. Had a really good time. We went for like 2 hours, answered a ton of questions. Really appreciate everyone's questions and feedback on that. So going great. Had a lot of people signing up for Local Fury already. Getting some good feedback. And again, we're happy to have new people there to help us grow this. As Bradley mentioned on the webinar, we're technically, whatever you want to call it, out of beta, but we're definitely still looking for feedback and really want to grow as not only something we're using, but something we of course want to offer other people and make it the best service we can. So I'll put that link in there. So now Bradley's done setting up the tech stuff, so we can say hello to him. How you doing today, Bradley?
I'm good, man. Busy. I'm just reading some of these questions. I'm trying to figure out where we're supposed to start today. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm good. Just excited. Big, lot of crazy things going on. We're besides Local Fury, we're preparing for Tofu Live, and we got all this shit going on in Mastermind, and the link building business is growing, and it's just crazy. It's crazy times. It's quite a change from last year for sure. But excited to be here and just glad to see all this progress. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Tofu Live. Like I said, we're going to keep this pretty short. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, head over to tofulive.com, grab those there, and we've got a little bit more information up there, and we're going to be confirming the kind of final round, if you will, of speakers and some of the other details soon. So grab your tickets. That will be September 23rd and 24th. We'll have a VIP day on the 23rd. Highly recommend that you come join us on that. Good way to get to know people, have some fun. And if you're in the US, we'll ship you the beers for free. If you're not, sorry, you got a BYOB, but you can still join us. And then we're going to hit it hard on Saturday and go all day with tons of great presentations.
So it's in 6 weeks, right? So yeah. Until when can people sign up till they still get a beer?
That's a very good question. It changes each year just because of the shipping times, but roughly I cut it off. I think it's about 7 to 10 days before, because we've got to deal with grabbing it, shipping it, doing all that. We do it all ourselves. And so we custom pick everything and package it. So I want to make sure. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. So yeah, if you want to get a VIP ticket, help yourself, sign up, and then help us by doing it now as well. And we'll probably include some extra goodies in there.
Well,
I know, Bradley, go ahead. I know what you were about to say, so go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm looking out and the thunder is getting louder and it's getting darker. So I'm just hoping that we don't get taken out today by lightning like we had a couple of weeks ago. But anyway.
Hey, it happens. So yeah, real quick, Bradley mentioned the mastermind as well. If you are interested, we appreciate and we love doing these. This is 404 episodes. But if you'd like kind of more of this, if you'd like more direct feedback, Q&A, interaction, as well as kind of joining the peers, the mastermind would probably be the great place for you. There's so much going on there. I'm going to grab the link. Bradley, if you want to say anything else about the mastermind, I mean, that's about as low pitch as I get. Just, hey, there's a lot going on. Come check it out if you think it's for you.
No, I'd just say, yeah, there's just, a lot of good stuff going on in there as far as the directory SOPs. We got the Google Business SOP, all the stuff I teach about link building, and there's just so much going on in there as well. So I would encourage you to come join. I mean, it's a good time. We brought a lot of new members in lately, and it's rocking and rolling. So come join, check it out.
Cool.
Damn, it's getting loud out here, man.
Well,
it looks pretty bad, man. I'm hoping we get through some of these questions. So,
all right. Well, then let's get into it so we can do this.
Yeah, let me close
down. I
down
totally lost my links. Let's see. There we go.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let me grab the screen.
Now I'm looking too. I think it was it Confident Self or Nice Stranger? I love these names. That's weird. Yours don't show how many days away.
No, and it never does.
It says after seeing your previous webinar on guest
That's it?
posts. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't see that either, but it is what it is. Maybe because I'm not logged in as an admin. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. First question. After seeing your previous webinar on guest posts and experiencing crappy sellers myself, I've decided to bring link outreach in-house and offer this to clients. How would you go about outreach and pricing to clients? I'm hesitant to use my agency website as the email address. Would you suggest Gmail personas or another random domain? A random domain, and I don't. So yeah, don't use your agency domain for cold outreach, okay? Because you can burn your domain, and then transactional emails. So communication with customers, clients won't inbox either. So you want to have a separate domain for cold emailing, and I always recommend buying 2 cold emailing domains and warm them both up properly. I've gone through this extensively myself over the last 2 years. But you want to warm those emails up. Okay. I recommend, and just give me a minute. Let me, well, Adam, if you're an SM short link, can you grab the one for Folderly?
Sure.
Just search Folderly and that should pop right up. I think it's smshort.link/Folderly. Anyway, that's the best email warm-up service I've used, period. It costs $49 a month, I think, but you get unlimited amount of emails or domains that you, email accounts or domains or both that you want to add to it. And it works phenomenally well. It's by far the best email warm-up service that I've used. And I've used many over the last 2 years testing because I've done a lot of cold emailing for prospecting. So yeah, you want to have 2 separate domains. And I always recommend that you start warming both of them up. But once one of them is properly warmed up, which generally takes about a month, once it's properly warmed up, then go with that email and leave the other one in the warming function or feature or whatever connected to the warming service, and keep that one just as kind of a standby or reserve in case you burn the email that the domain that you're using for cold outreach, which can happen. If you end up burning that one, then you have another one that's already pre-warmed up and ready to go. And all you got to do is swap it out. So a couple other things you want to keep in mind. You don't want to have agency or marketing or any of that kind of stuff in the title or in the domain name itself. Those are trigger words that can trip a spam filter a lot easier. So you don't want to use any kind of words like that. What I recommend that you do is, if you have a brand that has agency or SEO or marketing or something like that in the title, in the brand name, then you wouldn't want to use that same kind of a domain, even with a different extension. What I'm getting at is like with TreeCare HQ, because I do a lot of cold email prospecting with for my TreeCare HQ agency. So I have treecarehq.net, .org.us. I've got a number of those that I use for cold outreach emails. And then I just forward each one of those domains to my root domain, which is treecarehq.com. That's my directory site. So whenever I'm sending an email, and only those of us that are, savvy about this kind of stuff would look at the email address and then go visit the domain extension, the domain that's associated with the email address to see what it's about. I do that all the time. When I get solicitation emails, I'll check and I'll go visit the domain. And a lot of the times, which is funny, a lot of these people doing cold outreach, they don't have it forwarded. Their cold email sending, their cold sending domain, they don't have it forwarded to their actual brand. A lot of the times it's just it's a 404 error, or a site doesn't exist or whatever. When you could go try to visit that domain, you should set up a redirect and redirect it to your agency site, right? Or something else, a landing page or something that provides a little bit of information so that those that are, inquiring about, who is this sending me an email, and they go visit that domain, it establishes like some trust and credibility and that there's something there. I get a lot of cold emails where I go visit the domain that's associated with the email. And there's nothing there. And it's like, okay, well, they just lost my confidence. I'm not going to reply back to this, even if I was potentially interested. So what I'm saying is you set up cold sending domains, and you can use your brand name as the domain, just with different extensions, as long as your brand does not have SEO, marketing, agency, things like that in it. If it does, then don't use your brand. Use something else, use something similar, or even personalized domain names, like after a name. Like I own bradleybenner.com. I could use that. I wouldn't want to use that because I wouldn't want to burn it, but you could use your own name and just get some various domain extensions, or whoever's doing your outreach, get their domain names after them. Why I like to use that is because that adds a little bit of a personal experience. I would still forward the domain to the agency, or at least to a landing page that gives some information about, essentially what it is that you do, or your company does, your agency does. You might as well just forward it to your agency site, is what I'm saying. But I would, having a personal name, domain name that you send your emails from tends to get opened a bit more, if that makes sense, than coming from a corporation, a company type of domain. So, and I've tested that too. So now I just use TreeCare HQ because I'm not acting as an agency, I'm acting as a directory. And so it's not like a solicitation type of email, at least not initially. Initially, it's just the first email is just like, hey, I'm just trying to confirm that I have the correct contact information for your directory page on treecarehq.com. Can you confirm? And so I'm not worried about that. But when I was doing a lot of pitch emails prior to setting up my directory, I would use bradleybenner.com. I've used that in the past. I've also used like kind of various like generic kind of named domains, but I would still forward them to your agency. As far as pricing, I really don't know. What I would do is maybe check some of the other, if you run an agency, you probably get pitched, dozens of times per week from link builders. I do all the time. I get cold emails sent to me all the time from people, link builders, freelance link builders that are selling guest posts and things like that. Sometimes they'll, if I reply, they'll send me a CSV file or an Excel file with all their sites and all they ever list is the traditional metrics. So PA, DA, UR, and DR, those metrics that I don't give a damn about. That's all they ever list. But you could check those, like go through some of your emails. If you get those kind of emails, like I said, I get dozen or several of them per week. And you could check and see what kind of pricing they're doing, just to kind of gauge what some of the competition is doing that are selling guest posts and outreach services. You could go look on some of the bigger link building providers that do that kind of work, but they're uber expensive. And I can tell you that, that's up to you. If you can fetch those kind of prices from your clients, by all means do it. But like what I mean by that is like One Little Web or Authority Link Builders Authority Builders or getmelinks.com, which was recently purchased. Those types of sites that sell guest post and link insertions and outreach services and things like that, and get a look at their pricing. Some of those are the more expensive ones. A lot of those links start at $150 per link. Another good service that you could look at for pricing, which I think is incredibly expensive, is Loganix. We talked about Loganix for years. We know Adam Steele, who owns it. We chatted with him a few times. Loganix has got the best, and that's LOGANIX. They have a citation cleanup service that is fantastic. And I also like their monthly citation service. It's $79 a month, and they build citations, both structured and unstructured citations, on a monthly basis. They're great. So I use Loganix, but if you can sign up for a free account at Loganix or whatever to get into the dashboard, and then they have guest post service, like they have, high dollar link building services that are guest posts and things like that. And you can go in there and check it out, man. I mean, I think they start at like $175. I've seen links in there for $4,000, one link, no kidding. So, but they have a big list of sites or kind of services that, again, they're a white label SEO services provider for agencies, but they cater to higher end agencies, like big brand agencies that serve big brand customers. That's why they can get away with the kind of pricing that they charge. So I'm just trying to give you some ideas on how to price. I don't price like that. I price my links at a very reasonable price so that there's plenty of room for my clients, which are agencies or consultants, to be able to provide to hire me to provide link building services for them. Then they can, and there's still a lot of profit room in there for my clients, which are agencies or consultants, if that makes sense. So, again, that's part of the reason I got away from using, well, besides the fact that they just weren't as effective. You know, I was spending between $150 to $400 per link, and I wasn't getting any results, or at least not the kind of results I should be getting for that kind of price. And I'm able to provide better results for a, you know, considerably less, with topically relevant domains. So anyway, that's what I would suggest. Using different domains for sure. Warming them up properly. Folderly is a fantastic warm-up service. And then as far as pricing, just kind of start looking around and getting some ideas from what the competition is doing, and then kind of price accordingly, right? That's all I can say. Okay, next question. If I get a link to my site from another site with a different language from my site, does that link have any value, or is it a waste of time? Yeah, it still has value if it's relevant. It doesn't matter what the language is if it's relevant. I mean, because I'm building some kind of like blog sites for link building purposes, and I plan on building, like, for every site that I build, I will create another site like that in Spanish, because I serve English speaking countries, like that's for my link building business, and for my own businesses, everything I ever do is in the US, but a lot of my link building clients are in Canada and Australia and other places as well. But it may, like in United States, for example, like Spanish is almost the second language. I mean, it's like damn near the national language. So, you know, if I got 10 tree service sites that I'm going to use for link building purposes, then it makes sense to also build those out in Spanish, right? I have 10 additional sites that are in Spanish, kind of covering the same topics, but just in Spanish. And now I've just doubled my link capacity, right? I've gone from 10 to 20, and it's still relevant. It's still relevant, still matters. The language doesn't, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And it's getting darker, and I'm seeing flashes of lightning now, guys. So if I get taken out, I apologize.
Fingers crossed.
Next one. Hey guys, getting an SPP store set up. Awesome. I'm really happy with it. For my agency and creating some add-on services to complement things like press releases, thinking of adding an add-on for 10 PBN links to point at the press release or the org page, the organization page for my clients. How would you explain, though, about the links not been revealed to clients? Not being revealed to clients, maybe. Don't want it to sound suspicious, as clients will naturally be hesitant to pay without knowing what they get. Well, you know, if it's client work, I'm not sure I understand what the question is. How do you explain, though, the links not being revealed to clients? You mean, so you want to charge the clients but not show them? Well, like my clients, which are, you know, mostly tree contractors, they don't really care what to see what the links are that I'm building. I guess some clients do. You know, and if that's the case, I would be transparent and show them the links. And I don't know why that would be a problem, unless you wanted to hide the sources because but I mean, your client should obviously knows that you're a consultant or an agency, that you provide services to more than just them, right? So I'm not sure why that would be an issue. Like for me, I don't care if which tree contractors never give a shit what I'm doing, as long as their phone's ringing, they don't care. So I don't ever have to show them that stuff. But if a tree contractor said to me, like, I'd like to see like the links that are being built, I'd send them the links. I don't care if they go look at the source of the links, because the source of the links may be tree service, like PBN sites, or that are set up for tree service. And I certainly are going to be linking out from those to other tree service contractors. But what do I care? That, like, as far as I'm concerned, they know that they're not my only client. If they are my own client, they better be paying me a hell of a lot more. You know what I mean? So I don't know why that would be an issue. However, that said, if you use the semantic links method, then those are standalone HTML sites on their own domain that are used for link building. So you could share that with them, and then there wouldn't be you wouldn't be linking out from those sites to other projects, right? Because those are dedicated domains for that specific project. So that's perhaps another way to get around it, is be transparent by using kind of a dedicated domain link building, as opposed to link building from just like posts or pages, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but it's getting darker and darker. I swear to God. All right, next one. Heath says, hey guys, I've been using Article Forge's WordPress automated content poster feature for generating PBN content for a while now, but I'm finding it to be less and less reliable. Yeah, what I found with Article Forge is it's only good output at 250 words, and even then, it's not super reliable. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's junk. So I know what you mean. Do you have any tips on a WordPress plugin that can generate keyword related content automatically to keep PBNs fresh and topically relevant? Thanks. No, as I haven't really tested any because that's not the kind of method that I've used. I know that one of our mastermind members just brought to my attention something that's been on my radar for a while. It's called Mentorprise Publishing. I don't think that that's a WordPress plugin, but I'm pretty sure that you can publish to WordPress sites from it. And it was just brought to my attention by him, a mastermind member, like just in the last 24 hours or so, or a couple of days, within the last couple of days, he brought it to my attention. It's been on my radar for a while. Daryl Ledyard from Mass Page Tools, he's been using Mentorprise for a while. I used it for last year. I was a member of Dory Friends SEO Nitro Network for link building for a while, for I don't know, about 3 or 4 months. And I used Mentorprise for generating content to post to those PBN sites for a couple of months. But I got away from using PBNs. At least more recent in the last like month and a half, I started building my own PBNs that are 100% topically relevant around a very specific topic, which satisfies page level relevance and domain level relevance, which is part of the reason I stopped using other PBNs, because other PBNs generally only give you page level relevance. Domain level relevance is generally not there because it's a PBN going to be used for multiple topics. And so it's not really relevant. It doesn't provide as much value. So that's why, like I said, when I was doing some PBN posting on other people's PBNs that required me to generate the content, I was using Mentorprise for that. It's pretty powerful for that, but it does a lot of other things too. And I know that might be something you want to check out, Heath. If you're doing considerable PBN type of work, it might make sense to check into that. And again, one of our mastermind members, Matt, his name's Matt. He was the one that pointed that out to me the last couple of days. He was like, "Hey man, just wanted you to be aware, like Mentorprise is really powerful. It can create topically relevant PBNs and feed them with content around a specific topic." And so I've got it on my to-do list in the next couple of days to go watch a video that he sent me about it. And I might be working that into my own process for my own PBNs. So that's called Mentorprise Publishing or something like that. Just go check it out. You'll see what I mean. I haven't tested it yet, but I know it's on my radar, and I know some pretty savvy SEOs that swear by it. So I feel confident in being able to at least recommend checking it out. Okay. Next one. What are some good white label software subscriptions or other service subscriptions we agencies can offer to our clients? I'm looking for low maintenance, easy to deploy recurring services that I can boost LTV and act as a foot in the door towards longer SEO contracts. A couple of them I can think of right off the bat would be press releases, or David Sprague has a few tools that were fantastic for that stuff. So strategic marketer at David Sprague. So rep videos. I think I talked about this last week, actually. I think it's just repvideos.com. Yeah, repvideos.com. This is a great service. It's like $100 a month and you get like 25 videos per month, and you can sell these to clients. And it's super easy to set up, and they're great looking videos. And I mean, they're just great. I think they're fantastic. I've been using this for years. I still use it today, like no kidding, for all my client work, some lead gen stuff. So this is something else that you could do. Reputation building. That's another service that you can do that's inexpensive. I mean, brightlocal has, which I use for my reporting, has reputation building and monitoring and building. Like it's an add-on, and it's $8 per month per location. So think about that. You're charged $8 a month. You can charge your client $100 a month, whatever. And now it helps them to request reviews, and it helps them to monitor their reviews and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just talking about brightlocal because that you asked, like a SaaS service, it's $8 a month per location. You could charge your client $100 a month, right? And it's a valuable service because it will help them to start building their reputation and their Google business profile. And I think it integrates with Facebook pages as well. So, and perhaps some others where people can leave reviews. But that's just an example. I use High Level for my own agency, and I've got a snapshot I paid $600 for one time called GHL Smart Reviews. So I just use High Level for reputation building for my clients. So that I use brightlocal for reporting, but I don't use their reputation building like add-on because I use High Level. But if I wasn't using High Level, I'd probably just use brightlocal because, like I said, it's $8 a month per location. So anyway, I would, those are a couple things right there. Press releases, I again, if you have it, depending on what your subscription levels are, you know, I use Press Advantage and I have a subscription that I can charge clients, $125 or something like that I generally charge 150 for a single press release. But if a client wants, 2 press releases a month or 4 press releases a month, then my prices will come down a little bit on each press release, if that makes sense. So that's just another service that you can do. And what I like about that is more recently I've started scheduling those. In Press Advantage, you can set up scheduled press releases to where you go in and you just set it all up and you set the schedule at which you add in all the information, target URLs, keywords, images, all that stuff. You can build out like this campaign and then say, I want 1 press release published every 2 weeks or every month based on these details. And they'll just go in and select a keyword, select an image, target URLs with the anchor text, and they'll write a press release around that. And then they'll submit it to you for review or for, to approve or to request edits. And that's it. And so more recently I've started doing that to where like, it's just set and forget. Might spend 30 to 45 minutes setting up a scheduled press release campaign, but then it's done, right? It's done. It's just automatically and for most of my clients, it's every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, a new press release, I'll get a notification. There's a new press release is ready for your review and approval. And I'll go in, I'll double check it, make sure everything looks good, might make a couple of slight edits and then hit, approved and send to publish, and then it's good to go. And that's what I like about that, because it's very low maintenance. It's easy to set up and it's valuable. So there's just a couple ideas. Another one. Hey guys, when doing outreach link building campaigns for clients, how do you handle sites asking for payment? Doing some outreach for CBD and all sites are coming back wanting a payment to publish an article or edit an existing one. Do you present the cost to the client or pay? That's up to you. That's up to you how you want to handle that. Now that you know that going forward, if you're going to be quoting other CBD clients, and you know that that's kind of industry standard, then I would work that into the retainer and I would just cover it myself. Instead of asking the client to pay additionally for that, I would just build some level of that cost into my monthly retainer and then I would pay for that out of their retainer money, but without asking them for additional money. Does that make sense? But it's entirely up to you. If it's a small enough fee, I'd probably just eat the cost for now. But if it's sizable enough, then I would approach the client and ask for compensation or reimbursement, if that makes sense. I'm trying to ensure I look professional and don't potentially eat into my own profits. Yeah, I get that. I mean, but what I'm saying is if you might have to, with existing clients, ask for some money or some additional, maybe that's what you do is you approach them and just be like, look, one of the link building methods I've found is particularly helpful. It's working well right now is outreach, but some of these sites are requiring payment to get a link placed on their blog or their site. And since this is something new, maybe we can split the cost on that, something like that. All I'm saying is like, you don't want to burn your clients. So, try to make it reasonable, negotiate with them. If you need to ask them for compensation, to cover the outreach costs and the placement costs, then by all means do it, but try to make it attractive to them to show that, you're making an effort to work with them. But for new clients is what I'm saying. Once now that you know that, you can work that into your monthly retainer. And that way you don't have to ask the clients for any additional money. They're already paying you for that. If that makes sense. That's how I would do it. Another one. I found you through Jesper. I have done the directory model in the past for local, not niche specific. I noticed that you were not using a WordPress theme anymore. Yeah, I am. I most certainly am. It's called GeoDirectory. That's another SM short link if we have it, Adam. I think it's WPGeo.
Cool.
Anyways, but it's called GeoDirectory. That's what I'm using. I'm still not fully comfortable editing, like customizing that and everything, but it is WordPress, and it's a very stable theme, and it's a suite of plugins, and it's mostly plugins, but they have a few themes too that integrate with their plugins. And it's good. It's stable. They've got a really good support system that responds back well within 24 hours. I think it's a bit of a learning curve, but aren't all WordPress themes or page builders they all have their own kind of learning curve? Well, so does GeoDirectory. Like I said, I'm still not fully comfortable working in it, but I've got it. I'm proficient enough that I've been able to deploy my site and use it. So it's a good question. Okay, next. How do you increase dwell time, engage them to stay longer? Adam, are these relevant to right now? Because these look like they're from yesterday. I'm just
Yeah, I
curious.
just popped them in here. I think you might have touched on them. So feel free to skip them. I just know that I brought them in here because I knew they were going to be good here. So
Okay, yeah, I think we've got enough questions. If we
Yeah.
need more, I'll come back to them.
cool.
I think we covered those, but thanks. All right, next one. Hey guys, what's a good fully white label review management subscription app I can give clients access to? Looked into brightlocal and a few with no luck. Only features I need are review tracking and replies for major platforms like GMB, Facebook, Yelp, TripAdvisor. Well, I mean, again, I like high level. Because high level will retract reviews and allow you to reply to them. So brightlocal doesn't allow you to reply to reviews. I thought it did because it integrates with Google Business Profiles. Now, again, I'm not using brightlocal for I'm using it for reputation monitoring, but not for building and review management. I'm just using brightlocal for reputation monitoring because I use brightlocal for local search grid and organic rank tracking and all that other stuff. And Google Business Insights, which is called the Google Business Profile or GBP audit report. But I thought brightlocal, you could also reply, and it does review tracking for sure, but I thought it also does replies. Maybe it doesn't. Anyway, yeah, and I don't know because I use high level for, like I said, I use high level, and that tracks reviews, and it also allows to replies, both to Facebook pages and to Google Business. I don't care about the other ones. I mean, you might, I don't. And so if those matter to you, I mean, you could always look at like, what is it? Podium. Although I know that's stupid expensive. One of my long-term, oldest clients is a roofing contractor, and he uses Bird Eye, and he swears by it. And he's got to be one of the most reviewed roofing contractors in the state of Virginia, if not the most reviewed roofing contractor in the state of Virginia. And he uses Bird Eye, and he swears by it. He loves it. So you might want to check into that. I know one of our one of our mastermind members, I think it's grade.us, grade us. Not sure if that's it or if he's still using that or not, but I don't know. Just check and see if you can find some other kind of, I don't really have any recommendations for that because I use high level, and I thought brightlocal does everything else that you need it to, but maybe it doesn't. Sorry, I don't have a better answer. Next one, looking to offer blog content to my clients alongside the usual link building and press releases. Wondering if you have any good vendors you would recommend. Coverage of some key niches like legal is important. Or do you think hiring a freelancer is best? Well, I mean, we have a content service that is for money site content. ContentKings.io. It's content with a K. So ContentKings.io. That's for right now. We only have pricing for straight up money site content. So like, it could be blog posts or top of silo pages, product or service pages. Eventually, when we fully launch that, because it's been in beta forever, we will have different types of content. So there will be blog content, product or service page content, link building content, things like that. But for right now, it's all kind of one pricing structure. So that's one thing. If you're doing a lot of that, then I would recommend hiring a freelancer that you can train, or that already is quite good or proficient at blogging. And that to me is kind of if you're going to be offering that as a service for your agency, you should probably have somebody in-house that does it, is what I'm saying. Or find a third-party vendor that you can trust to fulfill your orders in a timely manner with a reasonable price that still allows some profit margin, right? It's a markup. So, but I mean, again, if you hire a VA and train them, so you can hire a freelancer that's already proficient at writing, but they're certainly going to be more expensive. Or you could learn how to use one of the AI writing tools, any of them. I think probably the best one, in my opinion, for straight up content development that's well-tuned, SEO tuned, is outranking.io. Outranking.io. That is by far, in my opinion, the best. If I was to only choose one for developing content, it would be that one. Fortunately, we don't have to choose one. We've got many different tools that we use, AI assistant tools for developing outlines, drafting content, tuning the content. We've got a number of different tools that we use. But I really like outranking is very, very powerful. And so the reason I started mentioning that is if you pick one tool that does pretty much everything that it needs to, and then get good at that, develop an SOP, or, get good enough at it to where you can develop a process out of it, and then hire a VA, not a freelancer, a trained freelancer. You can do that. But what I'm talking about is a more cost-effective way. Hire a VA that can at least write in English well, right? So you can hire a Philippines VA, for example, that's really good with written English, or if you're in an English speaking, if you're, okay. An example is I've trained a lot of VAs that are in different countries, mostly in the Philippines, but some in Africa as well, on how to use the tools. Like, all they have to do is be really good at written English. I don't care how well they speak, and many of them I've never even spoken to, like verbally, but they can write well, like in English. And then I've trained them how to use the tools, like Outranking or Phrase or WriterZen or any one of the tools that I use, which we use a bunch of them. But train them on one tool and say, and give them an SOP on, like, this is how to develop an outline, or how to do topic research, keyword research, outline, draft the content, edit, then tune it, right? How to do those things using this one tool. And then you can hire somebody at $5 an hour or whatever. And then you can have them learn how to use that tool and become proficient with it. And then they can develop the content for you at a much better cost, right? That's what I would do. If you don't have the bandwidth to go through all of that trouble and training and developing an SOP and all that kind of stuff, then just hire a freelancer that's already good at it, or find a third-party provider like Content Kings, for example. Okay. I know, like, I understand most people don't want to go through the process of developing an SOP and all that because it's time consuming. I get it. I develop SOPs all the time and it sucks. It's not fun. It's tedious. It is time consuming, and it's hard to find the time to do it, but you just got to do it. And when you do, then you can be much more profitable that way, because you can hire somebody again and train them. They don't have to be writers. They just have to know how to use a tool really good, and you can teach them to do that. Right. All right, next one. With your HTML rebuilds for semantic links, are you doing any regular backlinking to help continue? Yes. Are you also able to put these sites in our accounts if we order but want to host them on your own? Yes. And again, that's we do tier 2 link building to them. And it's out of your budget. So we do tiered link building. So some of your budget will go to tier 2 links to power up the tier 1 rebuilds that we've built for you. Yes. And by the way, if at any time, if you want the domains pushed in your own account, we can do that. And we will also send you the HTML zip files, or the HTML files in a zip file, so that you can host them yourself if you want. We charge $25 one-time fee to push all the domains into your account and then send you all the zip files. So you can do that, like if you're on a monthly subscription and every 3 months you wanted to get all the domains pushed to you that are for those previous 3 months, and all the HTML files sent to you, all you got to do is you pay $25 one-time fee. We zip everything up, push the domains in your account. Or if you're a link building client and you stay for 6 months and then you cancel and you want to have all the domains pushed in your account, again, $25 one-time fee. We zip everything up, push all the domains in your account, send you the HTML files. If you want to do it every month, it's an additional $25 per month. It's entirely up to you. God, it is hammering us it's like pitchforks and hammer handles, as they say. It's a pretty bad storm. But yeah, again, $25 is all we do. We charge one-time fee for each time you request it. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter if it's 50 domains or 5 or 1, right? It doesn't matter. It's just $25. And then if you want us to do it again in a few months, again, just $25, we'll send it. And that just covers the labor to push the domains over to you, zip up the files and email them to you. And that's it. And that's a great question too, because I've had a lot of clients ask me that. And also, when the domains are up for renewal in a year, you have the option to renew them at $25 per domain. And that $25 covers the cost to renew the domain. And it also covers hosting for another year. And it's entirely up to you. And if at that time, when they're up for renewal, you want them pushed into your account at that point, just ask and we'll push them into your account. Like I said, it's entirely up to you. Okay. Do you have any solid companies you can recommend to outsource WordPress design builds for our agency? Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. JD Funnel. I haven't used them for WordPress, but they're damn good at high level. And I know they do WordPress projects as well. And they're a team of brothers. I think it's 5 brothers, and they're in Pakistan. These guys are phenomenal. They're freaking ninjas. I hired them for a high level funnel build. And they were like, I was expecting a minimum of $1,000 price quote. I was actually thinking it was going to be $1,500 or so. The guy quoted me, he's like, $300 and I'll have it done in 48 hours. And I was like, where do I sign? Like, these guys are really, really good. They're fast. They're very knowledgeable. I think they do WordPress builds too. I would just contact them and see. I know they do. I'm pretty sure they do. But they do funnel builds, and most everybody that does funnel builds, whether ClickFunnels, high level, whatever, they also do WordPress stuff and Elementor or Bakery or something. So contact jdfunnel.com and ask, inquire from them. Those are the brothers right there from Pakistan. Like I said, they're badass. They're super responsive. I was really, really happy with them. I've referred these guys to several other members for funnel builds. But I highly recommend these guys. I'm pretty sure they'll also do WordPress stuff, but you can always contact them and ask. I'm pretty sure they do. If not, I do have my HTML builders that my team for Semantic Links. He runs an agency, a web design agency in India. And I would have to ask if he has the bandwidth to take it on, but I could potentially refer you to him. He does all my HTML builds, and he does some WordPress project stuff for me. So that might be another option. I'm not going to give his name up right here, guys, because I don't know that he has the bandwidth, and I don't want you guys taking work away from me. That makes sense. Like, in other words, I don't want you clogging him up so where you can't provide the work that I need. But let me know if JD Funnel does not provide WordPress services, let me know, and I'll try to connect you with my my build team for Semantic Links. They might be able to accommodate you. All right. All right, moving on. Next one. Client is not happy with some of the sites that picked up their press releases through Press Advantage. They thought that the sites were too spammy and not typical news sites. Examples, they don't want to do more releases. How would you handle that? So yeah, I clicked on this earlier to open it. I don't know why this looks spammy. This looks like a news site to me. But honestly, like, you know, if I have a client that complains about that, I say, okay, well, we don't do press releases anymore. Like, you know, we'll replace those with some other sort of links. Like the way that the thing is that to me is anal and ridiculous. It is what it is. You work for the client. If the client doesn't want it because they think it's spammy and you're not going to convince them otherwise, then by all means, just say, okay, fine. We won't do press releases anymore. We'll have to find another link building method. But press releases are very effective for local if they're done properly. It's also good for reputation, marketing, if done properly. And the thing is these types of sites they're for SEO purposes, not for like, these are never going to rank. So nobody's ever going to find this except for the client going through their CSV file of all the pickups. Like, nobody in the wild is organically going to come across this that was looking for your client. Does that make sense? So like, I just explain that to clients if they're being unreasonable, I try to explain it to them. Like, you understand this is for SEO. This is just to help you to rank. Nobody's going to find this except for you because you looked in the CSV file. You know what I mean? Like, I literally say it to that like that. But you're the boss, right? You're the client. If you don't want these published on there and this is part of the distribution network, then we're just going to have to discontinue press releases, which is going to make me less effective it's going to harm the campaign. I wouldn't say make me less effective, but I would say, it's not a good idea to stop press releases because of a couple sites that you think are spammy. But if that's what you want, then we're just going to have to find some sort of alternative link building method. But they're not going to, in my opinion, it's not a good move. I suggest that we keep them because this is not, in my opinion, this isn't spammy at all. But again, you got to, the client, you got to do what the client wants because they're the ones that sign the paychecks, right? That pay you. Or you find other clients. I mean, and again, I know that's kind of a crass thing to say, but I don't like working with clients that are a pain in the ass. If they're too needy, then I will fire a client. Seriously. And fortunately, I'm in a position I can do that. And I understand if you're not, but that's why it makes sense to always be prospecting for new clients so that you can get rid of your pain in the ass clients that are unreasonable because you have a pipeline full of prospects that you can cherry pick from. So that you have people that you want to work with, right? That aren't as needy and aren't as anal. I think that's unreasonable personally. So I would have a pretty frank conversation with them about why I think that's unreasonable. But again, I would say, hey, look, if that's ultimately what you want, then fine. We will discontinue press releases, and we will have to, replace it with some sort of alternative link building service, and see how that works. That's what I would do. Okay. But again, I think that's completely unreasonable. In your local Fury video, you mentioned branded CTR is important. Why is that the case? Because that's a signal that the entity is strong and that people are seeking it out. Like that is, branded searches are brand signals, period, helps to strengthen the entity. That is, again, I've been saying this for freaking years, guys. And if I could only do CTR manipulation with one method, what would it be? It would be branded searches, period, end of story, full stop. I've said that for years. Because people come in and they want to, they want to hammer away on keywords. And I see it in every one of the CTR groups that I'm a member of, which is many. I think we all are, right? Everybody comes in all the time. Like, how much of a volume should I send for my keywords? And that question comes up, all the time. My first question is, well, how many branded searches are you sending? Right. And that's because you should always start there, man. Start there because if you strengthen the entity, it's going to rank better for keywords. So branded searches are a signal that the brand has some authority. And that's what you want to do. It adds weight to the brand. I've talked about this for years. In 2012 is when I was first turned on to CTR manipulation, click-through rate manipulation. Back then, there was no way to automate that. There weren't apps, there weren't tools, there weren't services. You had to do it with microtask workers. So we would manually set up gigs on microtask gig sites like Mechanical Turk or MTurk, which is Amazon's. There's another one called Microtask. I think it was microtaskworkers.com. There might be another one called microtasks, I think, .com. Some of these might not even be still available, but we would go set up campaigns where we would hire microtask workers and pay 2 cents per action to go search for a keyword or a brand name or whatever, and then find it in the search results and then click through. And then we would tell them highlight the fourth word in the third paragraph on the page and paste it in the answer box. And that's why would we do that? We would do that so that they would go to Google, do a search, find the link that we wanted them to click on. Then they would click through to the link, and then they would have to dwell on the page and scroll a little bit to find the fourth word in the third paragraph or whatever it was that we told them, so that it would cause dwell time, scrolling, scroll depth onto the page, things like that. And then they would copy that word, whatever it was, and paste it in the answer box and hit complete. And that's to prove that they did the task, right? And that's what we would do. Well, way back in 2012, when I learned about this, it was because Ivan Budimir from Maps Magic, and Ivan Budimir is like my mentor in local SEO. He had the biggest influence on my career as a local SEO. For years, I followed Ivan Budimir, and he was like a savant. He was like complete nerd, like autistic about it, right? Autistic about SEO stuff. And he had pulled out what was a Google patent that I think was actually approved in like 2008 or 9. But it was in 2012 when he introduced this, and he called it the site weight patent. That wasn't really the actual term, but that's what he called it, was site weight. And it's an old patent, but it talked about how if two websites were equal, and I know it's theoretical, but if two websites, all things being equal, and the only difference was that one website had more brand searches, so that means people going to Google and searching for that brand name, either the company name, the brand name, the domain name, so going to Google and searching for the domain name and then clicking through, all things being equal, two sites identical, but one had more brand searches than the other, the one with the more brand searches would outrank the other one every time. Like every single time. And that was the idea was, so that was when we first discovered, when I was first turned on the click-through rate manipulation. And the patent talks about why that was important, was because those are what's called navigational search queries. Doesn't mean just a brand name search, but it also means various searches that would be related to a brand, such as brand plus phone number, meaning like going to Google and typing in like semantic mastery phone. So that, and then now you'll see a rich snippet will pop up at the top of the search results with the phone number, right? Or semantic mastery location. And then up at the very top of search results, it'll pop with the street address of the location if it's a published street address, right? Or semantic mastery, so brand hours of operation or business hours, and boom, at the top it will show the hours of their opening hours, right? The point is, so there's all those different kind of like navigational search queries, brand, domain, brand plus location, brand plus phone, brand plus service or keyword, things like that. Those are all called navigational search queries. And that's what was addressed in that site weight patent that Ivan Budimir covered way back then. And so basically it was talking about how branded searches add authority to a brand or an entity. Back then we weren't calling them entities. We were just calling them brands, but now they're known as entities. And so by adding, it adds weight to the entity. It makes it heavier, which means it's more authoritative. And so branded searches are by far, again, guys, I can't stress this enough. If I could only do one thing with CTR manipulation, what would it be? It would be brand searches, hands down, no questions asked, period. Full stop, right? Keyword searches would come next, but always start with brand searches. And as you start to increase that, volume on that, which you just start out slow with like something that is like, first of all, does it pop a knowledge panel when you type your brand name into the search panel or a search bar into Google? If it doesn't pop a knowledge panel, you have work to do on the entity first. Get it to pop a knowledge panel for the brand name. That should be your first goal, period. Once that occurs, then you can start to incorporate some keyword searching clicks into. But you should always strive to get the brand to pop for a knowledge panel to pop for a brand search first, and then start manipulating brand search signals or navigational search queries. Then once you start doing that, then you can go in and start manipulating search, generic keyword searches. Start slow. As a matter of fact, in our mastermind, we're going to run out of time, but let me pause the screen. No, I don't need to pause it. Go into our mastermind for a minute. There was a post, we were just talking about this in our group, like within just the last 24 hours, right here. There's a post right here about heat map testing for click-through rate for Google SERPs. Like, so how much click-through rate is there? How much of a percentage of people that visit a search engine results page click through to the #1 position? Then how many to the #2 position? How many click through in the ad section versus how many click through in the map section versus how many people click through in the organic section? And at which position? And so here were 3 that I added to this conversation right here. I'm going to open these up and try to post these in the chat box for you guys. But these are click-through rate stats, right? And it shows like the #1 position gets 23 this is for organic search, 23.3% of the clicks for the search volume for that keyword. #2 position gets 20%. #3 position gets 13%. So you have to also, for keyword searching clicks, you got to determine where are you currently located for that keyword and the search results. And then you have to modify the volume of clicks, searching clicks that you send to that keyword based on these types of stats, right? Because again, too many people want to jump right in at 30 or 35% of the average number of average monthly search volume for a keyword, and they're in position 15, right? And you want to come in and hit it with 25 or 30% of the average monthly search volume when only the #1 position only gets 23% and you're in position 15. Is that a natural signal? No, of course it's not. So like if you're in position 15, then I would, start out with like less than 5%, if that makes sense, which is why I'm saying push on branded searches, right? Searching clicks on brand or navigational search queries. So brand plus location, brand plus phone, brand plus hours, etc. Because that'll help start adding kind of click activity to the brand. It will strengthen it up a bit. You should start to see some improvement in organic search results for keywords anyways from doing that. And then you can start to manipulate keyword searching clicks too, but do it slow and ramp up as your positioning improves. Does that make sense? So I think I said I was going to try to put these in the chat, and I'm going to run out of time, but let me copy these and extract the that stupid Facebook codes that they append to the end of these URLs, and I'll paste these in here, guys, just a second. Here's 3 studies on that, or stats about that you can review and perhaps get a better idea. I know you're asking about branded, but this would be helpful for some of you guys anyways, as far as how many clicks, searching clicks should you send for keywords? Well, here are some stats that can help you with that. Start with brand searches, guys. One of our members, Michael Merlino, he's got the CTR Geeks course on CTR manipulation. It's really good. He talks about brand searches very passionately in that, and I appreciate his passion very much. He's 100% correct. So there you go. Hopefully you guys can go through those. All right, we're almost out of time. How many posts would you recommend to do daily on a Google business profile listing with low to medium competition level? Daily, I don't know that it's necessary. Look at what your competitors are doing or the industry in general. For tree service guys, we just do once a week now. We used to do more than that. Well, that's not true. I've got a few clients that we do 2 or 3 times a week, but for my own assets, my own lead gen assets, we just do once per week. It's all that's necessary, once every 7 days. But in my industry, there's not, in the tree service industry, there's not a lot of tree contractors that are posting more than that. Most of them don't post at all. So once a week is plenty. But just look at what your competitors are doing, and also look for industry stats if you can, and just kind of mimic what others are doing. More is better usually, but it's unnecessary if it's not helpful, it's unnecessary. But you know, you say how many per day. I mean, if you're in a low to medium competition area, just look at what your competitors are doing. If they're posting multiple times daily, well, then by all means post multiple times daily. But if they're not, then, you know, like I said, once a week is for most local businesses, once a week is good enough. More can be better though. So, foo bar near me. Okay. Not sure I understand that. When doing tiered link building, is it better to send stronger links like topically relevant links like Semantic links offers, or even topically relevant PBNs directly to a money site or client site? Or is it better to point those at a tier 1 linking asset? I recommend pointing those to a branded asset that you have control over. So as we talk about semantic mastery, the G site and stack, press advantage organization page, ID page, batch geomap for local, cloud page or cloud stack. I generally use cloud pages, not stacks. Those are all kind of the branded syndication network properties, are like branded blogger, for example, WordPress, Tumblr, all of those. Anything that has a do follow link is what I would recommend. So like the ID page is perfect for that kind of stuff. But why I like the ID page and the press advantage organization pages is because they're like iframe stacks, right? We can embed all of our branded assets into those, and then we can hit that one asset with links, and it's going to power up all of those assets because of the iframes, right? Does that make sense? You guys understand iframes are like do follow links. So they pass link equity, trust flow, all of that. So if you have like an ID page, which is an iframe stack of all of your branded assets, it's just a bunch of embeds basically, and or links. But for the primary assets, it's embeds. Then you hit that ID page with the links from other sources like PBNs and things like that. And it's going to push through to all of the assets that are embedded or linked to from that. So you get like a lot more mileage out of your dollars spent. Does that make sense? Your dollars go further that way. You get more effect because you're hitting one link, one asset that then distributes that out across all the assets that are embedded in that asset. Does that make sense? The G site's good for that too. G site, ID page, press advantage organization page. Again, cloud stack pages, using Yaks, Jesper's Yaks is badass. Like I build all my ID pages in Yaks now, by the way. It's fantastic for that. He's got the 5 images and you can turn those into embeds. And so we embed the primary assets using Yaks now. It's fabulous. I use that for all my ID pages now. It's great. So, yeah, like I said, if they're not 100% topically relevant at the page level and the domain level, then I would only point those links at tier 1 assets, not directly to the money site. Only thing you should be pointing directly to the money site, in my opinion, are 100% topically relevant links at the page level and domain level, both. If you can't do that, then use buffer sites instead. It's my recommendation. Next one. Thank you for being so clear with your answers, man. Finally, someone that explains his reasoning behind any strategy. Thank you, fancy character. I appreciate that very much. What CMS do you use for your own websites? WordPress. I use WordPress. I mean, I don't like building websites, guys. I hate it. I never enjoyed it. I think it's tedious. I don't enjoy it at all. I've been using high level recently for website builds, for, I'll be talking a lot about this at POFU Live actually, but I still use WordPress, but I try to use I use just a couple, like I use Elementor, and then there's, I use Ink themes as a theme developer, but I've kind of gotten away from that, but I don't like to use it. Like I stick with just Elementor and then Ink themes, which I don't really use much anymore. And that's it. I don't like any other sort of, and then now GeoDirectory for my directory site, but because I don't want to learn anything else in WordPress. There's too many nuances or quirks about different developers, different themes, different plugins. I don't like to do all that. I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's fun. So I just stick with high level, Elementor, and Elementor. Even that, I've got templates that I've created already that I just duplicate for new projects. So the theme is there. It's just got to swap out content basically. And that's it. Anyway, great questions today, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. See you guys.